Hi, this is Wanda from G&Rbeefarm. Today we're going to be making a pre-mixed blend of essential oils to help our bees in the wintertime. We have 2 hives, so we will be making this blend to help them out through the winter season when we're feeding them dry sugar. We don't want to just give them just plain dry sugar. You can, but the benefit of just dry sugar, they probably would eat it if they really needed to eat it, but let's help boost it a little and give them a more healthier benefit from the oils to help them through the winter. So we're going to go over the equipment that you need, the ingredients that I will be using. I use the rapid top feeder in our hives, and they look like this, the rapid top feeder. It sits on top of your inner cover. This part goes down on top of your inner cover, and this feeder has been great. We used it in the spring when we had to start feeding the bees to draw out comb. We used it for one-on-one. I used it later in August during the dearth, feeding them sugar syrup, and I also used it doing the 2-to-1 in the fall. So now we're going to be using it for winter. This is a multi-purpose great top feeder. The little plastic cover is used for when it's liquid syrup. You take that part off, which I don't have right in here, but you use just the feeder and the lid. The purpose of this is that it doesn't leak and it won't crack, and it sits right on top of your top feeder, and we'll be putting the dry sugar in here with the lid on. And as during the winter, when condensation builds up through this hole that comes up through the inner cover, will give you moisture and condensation. And then that condensation and moisture will then, with your cover on, will leak down on top of your dry sugar, therefore making your dry sugar into like a sugar cake form, and it will harden, and then the bees will start eating on it. So we're going to add the sugar with the blend of essential oils to help them want to eat it, and also it will help with nosema during the winter months, with, you know, because you do not want your bees getting any kind of fungal disease or any diarrhea, which, you know, can come in the wintertime. So that will help with the tea tree oil blend with the spearmint and the wintergreen together. Also will help against the mite load if there is any left from after you're doing your treatments during the winter. That will help also in there. So with those 3 oils, that's what we're going to use. We're not using any lemongrass, because lemongrass just promotes robbing. So we don't need that going on inside the hive. So the only 3 oils that you need is tea tree oil, wintergreen, and spearmint. The tea tree is anti-fungal, antibacterial, and the wintergreen and the spearmint aid in mite control, so up through the hive. So this will really benefit them when we get it all mixed in. So this is a great feeder. If you don't have a top feeder, you can also use newspaper. You can do the mountain, they call it the mountain camp, where you put newspaper down and you just put the mixture of the dry sugar mix that we're going to do, lay it on, and like a pile. Leave the sides on your frame open, and then the end ones just do in the middle so that they can have ventilation and where they can come up freely to get off, eat off the sugar if they need it. Or you can take a metal pan. When we get done the mixture, you can use this option. You can put the sugar mix in that and press down, make it really hard. Leave it out for 24 hours to air out, to reduce the moisture in it. And then when it gets really hard, you'll have a big sugar cake almost. And then you can pop this out and you can lay that on top of your newspaper or paper towels. Some people use the paper towels because they fit, I guess the length of them are just right for some hives. So either one, newspaper or paper towel, you can use that. Just make sure you leave the sides open so that they can have ventilation. But we're going to be using the top feeders. But I just wanted to give you a couple other options that you can use it in a tin and then just take it out of the tin when it's hard and put it into your hive. Okay, well, let's get busy and I'll show you how we're going to make the premix, because this is a two-step process. And we're going to make the premix first. But I'm going to go over a few things that we need. You'll need a measuring cup, your granulated pure sugar. I have distilled water because it has nothing in it. If you don't have filtered water, you can use distilled. You will need your essential oils. Try to get pure essential oils. You can pick your own brand of oil. Just make sure it's pure. You'll need wintergreen, spearmint, and tea tree. I'm going to be using a frother today to froth and stir. You can use a blender, but I'm not making a huge batch because we only have 2 hives. So, and then I have a storage container to put my premix blend in so I can use it as I need it. And then you'll use some measuring spoons and a spoon to stir and just a little measuring dish. And then you'll need a bowl, preferably a big bowl after we do that's for the dry sugar mix. And you'll need a scale and another little glass bowl to weigh out your sugar, your dry sugar. And then, of course, your pan, if you're going to use a pan, or just something to transport the dry sugar mix to the hive. But we'll be using the top feeders to put ours in. We'll be splitting the dry mix and putting it into each one. Okay, first things first. We are going to use this little measuring cup to mix the water and the essential oils. And if you know anything about oil and water, they usually don't mix together very good because the oils will float to the top. So that's why we need the frother to emulsify it some, to get it in there and mix well. So we'll be mixing that pretty well. And this will be just for storage because we won't use it all today. You'll have plenty of mix left over for later in the winter. Once it's emulsified, you'll be fine as long as you keep it, sealed tightly. All right, so we're going to use, we need a 1/2 cup of water. You can do it on your measuring cup, or you can do a regular cup. So, first thing, we're going to take and use a 1/2 cup of water. Right there. Okay, we're going to take our essential oils and we're going to add it to our water. First we're going to use is tea tree. And tea tree is antifungal and antibacterial, and that's what you need to kill off any bacteria and diseases and any funk going on and fungal going on inside your hive. So this is a great oil. So we're going to use 10 drops of the tea tree. Okay, 10 drops. Wintergreen and the spearmint will aid in the mites, helping to still continue to kill off any mites inside the hive that might have been left over from your treatments. So we're going to do 20 drops of wintergreen. Okay. Now my spearmint does not have a dropper on it, but I do have a dropper thing I can use. So we're going to do 10 of the spearmint. Man, that smells awesome. Okay. Now you'll want to take your frother or your little blender, mini mixer, I call them, but I don't know if you can see that, but the oil is like floating on top. So this is why it won't mix well if you leave it that way. You can shake all you want and it's not going to stick. So we need to blend this, and it's going to turn like a little milky, maybe a milky color, but we'll see. So we're going to just do this for a minute or so, 2 minutes. We'll see how long we need to do it to get it stirred. Some people, would use a mixer, but I'm not using that much. So we just want to make sure it gets emulsified. And I know in a blender, they do it on a larger scale. If you use, like half a quart jar, they usually blend that for 5 or so minutes in a blender. But like I said, we're not making that much. We're making enough to last us for the 2 hives for the winter. Smells good. And these little blenders, they do a pretty good job of keeping it mixed. You just want to make sure it's well mixed as much as you can. Some people mix it in with a sugar water. I am not using sugar into this premix. It's just water and the essential oils, because it's going into sugar anyway. So why add extra sugar if you don't really need to? Because you're adding it into the sugar, dry sugar. Okay. All right, and now you'll take your jar. So now you have a half a cup of premix blend. And as you can see, you don't see the oil floating on the top. And if it does, you just, you know, later, if it doesn't emulsify, you can just mix it with the little mixer again for a few minutes. But I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and pour that into our storage container, because we won't be using all of that today, just a little bit of it, because you won't need much in the dry mix. Okay, so we'll set that to the side because we will be using it. Now for our dry mix, you'll need your scale, and you'll need a bowl. So just for video purposes, I'm just showing you because you won't be able to see it in that big bowl. I'm going to turn on your scale. Make sure it's pounds and ounces, or pounds at least. You're going to take your bag of sugar, and we are going to weigh out 4 pounds of sugar. I don't know if it's going to hold 4 pounds in this one bowl, but we'll give it a shot. I might have to do 3 pounds and then 1. Okay, that's 3.5 pounds, so I'm going to transfer that over to my big bowl. And then we'll do another half a pound, because my bowl's full. And what you'll have to do is just tear it and go do another half pound. And there you go. So now we will add that to our mix. Okay, we can set that to the side. Turn that off. Oh, I need 4 ounces of water. Let's see. Now, if you don't have a pitcher that does ounces, you can always use your scale with your measuring cup. Now, the next thing we want to do is you need 4 ounces of water. Now, so you can take your scale, but this does have a mark for 4 ounces, so my measuring cup is good. But I'm still going to use this just to give me a second measurement. And I went a smidge over. We're almost there. There we go. Okay. Okay, we're at 4 ounces. Now you can turn your scale off. Okay. Wipe that water off. Now the reason I'm only using 4 ounces, you can use up to 6 ounces. I would say you could use 6 ounces of water if you're not going to use the top feeder, the rapid top feeders. You can use 6 ounces of water. I'm only using 4 ounces because that's what we are using. And the reason why I'm using only the 4 ounces because I know that condensation is going to build up through there, through the hive and up through the lid, and it's going to moisten my dry sugar even more. So I don't want to overly moisten my dry sugar. So I'm only going to use 4 ounces to my dry sugar mix. And so we're going to bring our sugar over. And in this water, in this 4 ounces, I'm going to go ahead and add to the water mix 1 tablespoon of my pre-mix blend of oils. And I'm going to stir that in. Just 1 tablespoon. And then we're going to pour your mix into the sugar, 4 pounds of sugar. And we are just going to keep stirring and stirring until it's well moistened so that we don't want it over moist. You know, you don't want it runny and you don't want it real wet. Because like I said, my top feeder is going to moisten it even more. So I lessened the 6 ounces down to 2 ounces, down to 4, so I could give it that extra for the moisture that's going to do in the top feeder. So that hopefully that will help not make it so runny. So we're going to take the sugar. See if I can get this here for you. And you just want to make sure it's well blended. And then, I know it looks like a lot, but we're just going to go ahead and pour the whole thing in there. Oils and all. Shake what you can. All right, and now we're just going to start mixing the blend. And it's going to take a little bit because it's wet and it looks like it's going, you don't want it runny and you don't want it too thick. And we are just going to mix this until it's all well blended. Until all the sugar is absorbed through the water, oil, essential oils, and then you could probably use your hands to break it up once you get it mixed in. So I'm hoping by using less water, the moisture that the hive gives off will help in the top feeder and not overly make the sugar too watery. You don't want that. You want it to be like a hard candy cake sugar cake. So that's why I went less. But if you're not putting it in a top feeder and you're just putting it on newspaper, you could use the 6 ounces of water to your whole 4 pounds of sugar with your 1 tablespoon of oil mixed. And you should be fine because yours will be on paper, newspaper, and the condensation will do the same as far as hardening it. It will turn hard, which probably will turn hard quicker because it's more out in the open than it is in the top feeder. So it'll probably harden a lot faster. So you just want to keep mixing until it's all the sugar is well absorbed. And what we will be doing, we will be taking 2 pounds of sugar out, and putting it in each top feeder. So each top feeder will have, each hive will have 2 pounds of sugar to start. And then we'll see how they progress as far as kneading, you know, as the winter goes. And I can make another batch if I need to. But this is great just for like small hive, people that have small hives, you know, not 10 or 20 hives, you know. So 2 hives is great. And this doesn't take long at all. And you notice how it's still quite, it's moist, but it's not overly moist. Now, if you wanted to put that in the tin, you would put this in the tin and you would take your spatula or spoon and pack it down flat. But we're not using this tin today. I am just going to spoon this. I'm going to take out 2 pounds of this mix and we're going to transfer it over to the top feeders. And I'm going to let them sit out for a little bit because it's quite cold here this morning. It's like 32 degrees. So I will have to wait till this afternoon when the sun is out and it's warmed up. We're supposed to get, I think, up to 60, but it's going to take a while. This smells great. Lovely. I think the bees are going to enjoy this. Not only will it help them with nosema, this will also help them, again, with the mites that are, if there are any other mites left inside the hive, deep down in the hive. Okay, this is our mix. And it looks like it's pretty well mixed in. I don't have any other dry that I need to mix, and it's not, see, it's just really a nice moist, but we're going to let it dry out for a little bit in the top hive feeders because, like I said, I have to wait a little bit. So let's measure out the 2 pounds, and we'll get them in the feeders. So I'm going to use my other bowl that I had. Put my bowl on there. Tare it to 0. And I'm going to pour in here enough till I get to 2 pounds. So I know that each feeder has 2 pounds of sugar. just a little over. £2. There we go. Now what's left in this is for the other feeder. Okay, we can take this off. Turn that off. Now I'm going to bring my feeder over and lay it flat as much as I can. And we will be putting in, I'll have to be careful so I don't spill that in that hole. And you just want to scoop your mix in your feeder. Or if you were using the tin and you wanted to make a sugar cake, you could. You would just let it stay out overnight, 24 hours in the tin, if you wanted to use the tin. But if you're using this top feeder, or you could just put it in a container. If you're doing the newspaper or paper towel in the hive, the mountain camp, you can just take it down and pour it on your paper. But this is my blend, and this is the feeder that I decided to use. I think it's going to work better, so I don't have to worry about any condensation going down into the hive from the sugar, and the bees will be able to come up through this hole here and just be able to feed off of it. It'll be fine. It won't leak. So they'll have a blast, field day with all this goodness. See, and this holds, now if it was total dry sugar, we would be able to put a 4-pound bag in this. But if it was total dry. But now that it's been wet, it's moistened, this will go down and it will form into a hard cake almost for the bees. And the bees will enjoy it a lot more than if it was just plain sugar. Just want to spread, leave it loose. You don't need to pack it. It's fine. Even if you put it on your newspaper, you just want to pile it up. Don't let it overflow down into the hive too much. I mean, it's not going to hurt it, but you don't want to overflow it. And there you have your sugar mix for winter. And this will last my hive probably a really good long time. So I can do the other one, and what we're going to do is just going to leave it set out till later this afternoon, and we will be putting this onto the hive and allow them to enjoy it when they need it. They may not need it for a few months, but the oils in this mix of sugar will help, save it from spoiling also. The oils are a great benefit as far as putting them in your sugar. So your bees will be healthier. They'll get the benefit from it. It'll help them with the nosema and the mites, and they have extra food if they need it. And the good thing about this, you don't have to go down into the hive too much. It's right on top of the top feeder. You can just take another 2 pounds mixed and take it down. You don't even have to remove this. Just take the lid off, fill it back up if you should need it later, like in January or February if they eat all of it. So there you go. I'm going to leave this sit out and let it air a little bit, and that will cause it to harden just a little, but that's okay because that's what the bees like. They like it harder. They don't like it too much like this. They like it when it's harder, from what I understand. So this is my blend, and I'm so glad I got to enjoy showing you how to make it, and maybe you can make one for your hive, and we'll get busy getting it down there to them once it gets warmer today. I will try to leave the recipe down below, and let me know if you try it, and we'll see how the bees like it. Well, happy beekeeping, and God bless you.